What's going on, everybody? It's me back again for another video. It is Friday, we are here, we have made it through the week, and I am starting a new thing on this channel that I am calling 5 Card Fridays. I just thought of this like 45 seconds ago, and I thought it would be really interesting because normally I do a 3-card reading, and every once in a while I throw a 4th card in, but I thought 5 Card Friday sounds like a really interesting, just like a fun little catchy thing, and I already do 3 or 4 cards, so why not throw in a 5th card just as like a little treat for Friday's reading. So I thought that would be really fun. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you like the format of these videos. If you think 5 Card Fridays is something you'd like to see stick around. That being said, I think I'm just going to draw all these cards at once because I don't like, especially when we have these kind of beefier readings, I don't like have to constantly go back and shuffle the cards because they're already really shuffled, so it's not really going to make a difference. And I think I'm going to count them out because sometimes I feel like I pull the same card, so I don't know if that's just like me gravitating towards specific cards, but I want to make it really random and mixed up and just really let the energy speak for themselves. So normally I'll pick a number and I'll do like every 7th card from the top, but today, since it's Friday, I'm feeling a little spooky, so I think we're going to do every 13th card until we get all 5 of our cards. So let's start the counting now. So we're going to do 1, 13, 13, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Alright, that's a nice mess of cards covering my deck. But by counting out 13 cards throughout the deck, you get a pretty good variety going through just different spots of the deck, so you're not getting this kind of consolidated energy at one point or another. It's really letting you go through. That being said, I'm going to start flipping these cards over, and I'm just going to kind of go through them with you as I'm just seeing fit. I'm not doing this in a particular order. We're doing this very chaotic-wise. How do I want to organize these on my desk? Okay. Okay. Let's get into it. The chaos is ensuing, and I think I'm just going to kind of show you all of the cards so that way you know where I'm coming from, and then I'm just going to let it organically go through as I look at them. So we have, in no particular order, the Lovers, the King of Wands, the Page of Pentacles, the 5 of Wands, and the Queen of Pentacles. Alright, so let's take a look at this. I'm noticing some combating energies, specifically between the Wands and the Pentacles. We've been getting a lot of Earth and Fire, so maybe take that as a note in your life. And then we kind of have this balancing major arcana card of the Lover. So what are we seeing here? There's also a significant amount of court cards. 3 out of the 5 cards are court cards. That could be a message for someone. That could be significant. All right, just give me a minute. I'm kind of soaking this all in. Okay, I think the theme that I'm getting from this reading most is this idea of balance and inner harmony, and these two very strong forces pulling in opposite directions. You're getting a lot of this earth energy and this fire energy, and they're not mixing well together. You have this internal passions conflicting with your material circumstances, not even having to do with the things that you want materially, but the ways in which you are trying to achieve your goals conflicting with the resources that you've been provided in order to do stuff. So I kind of have them placed in this. I'll just have to show you. There's no way for me to explain how I did this without you just seeing. Okay. So I have the 2 pentacles down here, and then I have the 2 wands up here, and then I have the lovers in the center. So you notice there's these two royalty cards here, kind of conflicting with each other diagonally, and then you have these two, an earth card and a fire card, kind of conflicting on that diagonal, and then you have the lovers card in the center. Alright, so there's the visual for that, so you can kind of see how I've organized these and how I'm going off of that. And that was just my own intuition telling me how I wanted to organize it and how it was calling to me, and that's good because I actually got a pretty salient message out of that. So what we have to do here, and even it's interesting because I'm not focusing on like the top versus the bottom. I'm focusing on the diagonal conflict, having to deal with that these issues of pulling each other apart. So in this diagonal, it's interesting how you just kind of get this intuitive message to like, oh, focus on this, not that, and there's like a million different things you could focus on, even when you pull any individual card that could tell you all sorts of different things. So I'm going to start with these two. We've dealt with both of these cards in readings relatively recently on this channel. It's kind of hard for me to exactly remember, but we're dealing with a lot of conflict versus peace, and that's the first kind of point I want to go through with you guys in terms of how are you managing your own mental well-being and the well-being of your finances and your material with kind of this drive and this passion. So again, with this Five of Wands, I'm noticing a lot of internal it's interesting because a lot of the the picture has to do with like multiple people, but I'm getting this call that it's all these different voices in your head. It's your own passions. This reading is very focused around you. So I'm seeing all these voices in your head, not really being sure what you want, and all having different and maybe equally valid and like really interesting ideas that you want to go forward, but you're kind of stuck and you're grounded by the material circumstances. It's this Page of Pentacles. He's important. He's considered part of the court cards, but he's the lowest on the totem pole. He's restricted. He doesn't have access to all these things. He's not one of like the royals. That's not his place. He maybe has more material access than most, but maybe not as much that he feels he needs in order to satiate all the different voices in your head. So that's kind of the first basic conflict that I'm getting out of this reading, is that you need to make sure that, first of all, you're just going to have to accept the material reality of your circumstances. I know it's hard to kind of admit that because you want to think you can just push harder and have it all, and like that's fine. You can eventually push harder and make progress and really drastically change your life. But if you're kind of deluding yourself into thinking you're going to be making these overnight changes, or things just are the way they are, it's like, no, I can do this. I just like haven't been working. And it's like, well, yes, you have. You have to acknowledge where you are at, because by deluding yourself about your own circumstances, you're really just confusing these voices in your head. You're not going to get anywhere. You kind of have to get all your ducks in a row. You really have to focus on this one very specific, like, what is my reality? What am I doing now? And then allow the voices in your head to just kind of like run their course. Don't give them power. Don't constantly be chasing them around. Recognize where you are and where you're starting, and then start making a detailed plan about how you want to move forward and how you want to kind of channel these passions, because otherwise you're just going to get lost in this like chaos storm of your own brain. It's very like ADHD brain trying to pull yourself in a million directions at once, and it's just going to exhaust you, and it's just going to give you anxiety, and it's going to give you burnout. So really focus. Maybe even pull up an image of this card, or pull up this card specifically if you have a deck of your own, and just kind of meditate on what it means to be this. It's like a very minimalist picture. Like, he doesn't have much. He only has one pentacle, but he's content with it. Look at how he just kind of gazes into it. He's so happy with the thing that he has. He's so content, and he's willing to take what he has and move forward from there. But he's not just like looking past it and looking to see like, oh, how can I get out of here? How can I get more? How can I do this? How can I do that? Those are the voices in your head that are going to distract you, and that's kind of the basic crux of the beginning of this reading. And then we have, interestingly enough, we have the King of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles. So again, we have this really interesting battle between the earth and the fire, and I'm getting this kind of vision of like scorched earth, and it's burning yourself out, and eventually these like misguided passions like destroying your material reality. Like you wear yourself out and you wear your things out to the extent that they just become ruined, and it's just like this burned, like dusty, like this dirty soot that you can't use anything with. At least right now you have some things. You haven't burnt out all of your resources. And again, it's kind of this admonishment to make sure you're not just like burning through your money, burning through this, burning through this. It's like, oh, well, if I want to succeed, I need to buy this, and I need to buy this. And it's like, you need to take a step back. You need to acknowledge where you are, you need to make a detailed plan, and then you need to move forward from that plan with the understanding that it is going to take time to execute. And you're dealing with these really powerful energies here. You have the King of Wands. It's the height of this fire. So I'm not saying this is going to be an easy project by any means. And then you have this Queen of Pentacles. And once again, you have this figure. She only has this one pentacle, but look at how longingly she gazes at it. I'm getting this kind of, it's this, I don't know if any of you play video games, but there's, in Elden Ring, there's kind of this witch queen princess, and she has this like amber unborn embryo, and she's constantly coddling it and like allowing it to rebirth and using her magic to give it life over and over again, and it's just not coming together correctly, and she just kind of adores this like childlike possession that she has, and it's representative of so much to her, even if it itself is not complete. It is not the full story. She has this fraction of person, this fraction of an image, but she holds on to it so longingly because there is the potential for more to be there. Now her problem is she deludes herself into thinking that the entire picture is there right now. It's this entire being. It's not, but with a little bit of work you can move forward and you can create something from that. But again, we're going back to this idea of not deluding yourself into thinking that you have more than you have, or that you even need more than you have to advance forward. So you have something here. There's something here to be desired. There is something here that other people look at you and be like, oh, well, I wish I had that. Like, where you are is where other people are striving to be, and you really need to ground yourself in that if you want to move forward, because the King of Wands is a fiery little sucker, and if you don't watch your temper, if you don't kind of placate yourself and placate his desires and be forgiving, it's really showing that you are the one who is capable of burning all this to the ground, and you want to make sure that you are not the one doing this. Now, at the center of all this reading, we have the Lovers, and the Lovers, aside from having to do with romance, which often I actually don't even really see or feel that being the energy when I pull the Lovers card, it has to do with choice, it has to do with questions, it has to do with balance, and what a perfect card to be at the center of this whole reading, because you are trying to balance out your material with your desire. Your eyes are a little too big for your wallet, maybe, or yeah, I mean, not even just your wallet, but just kind of like where you're at. Maybe you're trying to start going to the gym, and you're like, you haven't gone to the gym in years, but you're like, I want to go 5 days a week, and I'm going to run on the treadmill for 3.5 hours every single day, and you're really having to find this balance, and it's this divine balance. So as I say in a lot of these readings, really try to go into meditation and really try to ask for this sort of like spiritual or psychological clarity to move forward from, because I'm seeing there's a lot of really good potential here, and there's this really like powerful earthy energy that you have the capability to move forward from, and you have the fire, which a lot of people don't have. You take it for granted because you're so passionate, and it's so frustrating when things don't move your way, but you forget that there's so many people out there who don't even have that spark or willingness to move forward and grow from their current position, and that is something in and of itself to cherish. And we've talked about this before, without like working it too hard and burning it out and having to reignite it later. And again, I do want to remind you that you have the spark there, but your spark can be a little more than a spark, and if you aren't careful, you can become this wildfire, this just like torrent and flame and just kind of nightmare and burning things around you, and you really need to make sure. So that's what I'm cautioning you to do. The Lovers is finding love within yourself. It's finding this harmony. It's finding this balance. because you will know if you're on the warpath. The King of Wands can very much initiate. He is the manifestation of the warpath when his shadow side is not acknowledged and when he is embracing that, when he is not finding balance. So again, you have a lot of these really powerful, this Queen of Wands, this very like earthy, grounded energy, and you just want to make sure you're balancing that with the fire, or you will get stuck. You will get stuck attempting to just kind of like rebirth this imperfect thing when you know better than that, right? You know that it's not perfect, and you know that you need to change it up. You might not know exactly how yet, but you know that something needs to change, and you need to take time and look for this kind of guidance moving forward with the Lovers so that you can balance these while having this really solid foundation, while also seeing progress and growth moving forward without burning everything to the ground. All right, guys, that is the end of 5 Card Friday. I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a really good time reading this. This was a really interesting format to try. I like trying out different things with the tarot. Let me know what you think. I hope it was a good one. I like this format. I think we're gonna stick with 5 Card Fridays, but let me guys know in the comments what you think. Hope you have a good weekend. I know I will. It's gonna be great. The weather's been great. Try to get outside. I've been doing a lot of gardening. Spend some time in the soil. Spend time with plants, honestly. Like it's so enriching and refreshing and rejuvenating. So that's my advice to you. Maybe go on a nature walk if you can, or look up a YouTube video of a plant if you're living in the Antarctic or it's still 20 degrees and snowing. Like, do something to try to connect with nature, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.